a future. So, yeah, it's just crazy how much it just went.
But I'm curious, do we need to walk?
It's wild how fast a story can fall apart when the numbers finally come out. For years, Robyn Brown has painted herself as the struggling outsider, the one who came from nothing, always just scraping by. But then, the truth about that $925,000 house hit the internet, and suddenly, the whole poor me act doesn't just look shaky, it looks completely exposed. How does someone go from talking about living in trailers and barely making ends meet to closing on a home worth nearly $1 million, all while insisting she's the most misunderstood and mistreated member of the Brown family? The cracks in Robyn's story aren't just showing, they're gaping wide open, and fans everywhere are finally seeing what's really been going on behind the scenes. Hi friends, I'm Sarah, and this is TLC Sister Wives Recap. If you're as obsessed with the drama as I am, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to know, do you buy Robyn's story or are you seeing the same red flags I am? Let's be real, Robyn's not the only one tangled up in this mess. Kody Brown, the so-called patriarch, has played his own part in keeping the family divided, shifting the rules whenever it suits him, and always seeming to land right where Robyn wants him. The rest of the wives, Janelle, Christine, and Mary, have spent years trying to hold the family together while Robyn and Kody keep moving the goalposts. The tension, the secrets, the constant rewriting of family history, it's all been building to this moment where the truth can't be hidden anymore. The $925K truth is out, and the victim narrative is about to get a reality check. If you've watched Sister Wives from the beginning, you remember those early days. The Browns weren't living in luxury. They were crammed into small spaces, making do with what they had, and honestly, it was rough. There were scenes of theas, a whole family squeezed into a single wide trailer, kids running around, everyone sharing bedrooms, and the adults just trying to keep the lights on. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. That struggle was part of what made the Browns relatable. They were just a big, messy, blended family trying to survive together, and those trailer days became a core part of their origin story. Robyn was there for all of it. She wasn't some outsider looking in. She was right in the thick of it, living through the same cold nights and cramped quarters as everyone else. She sat in those family meetings, nodded along during the recaps, and shared stories about her own tough upbringing. Back then, she talked about how grateful she was to have found a family, even if it meant living with less. There was a sense of unity, even if it was held together by duct tape and hope. But fast forward to now, and suddenly Robyn acts like those days never happened. When the idea of moving a trailer onto Coyote Pass came up, she shut it down instantly. Nope, sorry, done that. The way she said it, you'd think she was above it all, like she'd never stoop so low again. The rest of the wives looked at her like, are you serious? We all did this. We all survived it. It wasn't just your struggle, Robyn. It was everyone's. That's what stings the most. Watching Robyn pretend she's too good for the same hardships the rest of the family faced, as if she's forgotten, or chosen to forget, what they all went through together. It's not just selective memory, it's rewriting the family's entire foundation. For fans who remember those early seasons, it feels like a slap in the face. The shared struggle was supposed to be what bonded them. Now, it's just another piece of history Robyn wants to erase. Robyn's ability to cast herself as the family's perpetual victim is honestly something to behold. Every time a tough decision comes up, she finds a way to make her discomfort the main event. It's not just a one-off moment either, it's a pattern that's played out season after season. When the family faces a setback, Robyn's reaction is always the loudest, the most emotional, and somehow the most urgent. She'll tear up, her voice will shake, and suddenly the conversation shifts from what's best for the group to what Robyn can or can't handle. Take the Coyote Pass trailer debate. Janelle and even Kody were willing to rough it for the sake of moving forward, but Robyn's refusal was absolute. She didn't just say no. She made it clear that her comfort was non-negotiable. The rest of the family's willingness to sacrifice didn't matter. Robyn's needs came first, and the plan was scrapped. It's the same story with every major family decision. When the rental house was being sold, Robyn's panic took center stage. Instead of pooling resources to build on the land, the family redirected money to find her another rental, just to keep her happy. The rest of the wives were left to pick up the pieces again. Her emotional displays aren't just about tears either. Robyn has a way of making every hardship seem uniquely hers. She'll talk about her past struggles, her kids' needs, her fears about being left out or mistreated. But when you look back at the footage, it's clear she's not the only one who's had it tough. Janelle, Christine, and Mary have all faced their own heartbreaks, but you rarely see them hijack the narrative the way Robyn does. Instead, their pain gets pushed aside, overshadowed by Robyn's latest crisis. The impact on the other wives and children is obvious. Over time, you can see the exhaustion in their faces. Christine, who always tried to keep the peace, started to pull away. Janelle, who was once the family's rock, grew more frustrated and isolated. Even the kids picked up on the tension, sensing that some voices mattered more than others. It's draining to watch, honestly. As a fan, it's hard not to feel frustrated when the same cycle repeats. Robyn's discomfort becomes the family's emergency, and everyone else is expected to just deal with it. What's most heartbreaking is how this dynamic chips away at the family's unity. The original idea was that everyone would share the load, but Robyn's victim narrative has made it impossible for the others to have their struggles acknowledged. It's not just about who gets the biggest house or the most attention. It's about whose pain is allowed to matter. And for years, Robyn has made sure it's hers. The Coyote Pass saga is one of those moments that really exposes the cracks in the Brown family's foundation. When the idea of moving a trailer onto the land came up, it was supposed to be a practical solution. Janelle was ready to make it work, even if it meant living without running water or reliable electricity. She saw it as a way to finally start building, to stop wasting money on rent, and to invest in the family's future. Christine and even Savannah were on board, willing to put up with the discomfort for the greater good. Kody, for all his indecision, actually seemed open to the plan. But Robyn's reaction was immediate and final. She didn't just hesitate, she flat out refused. The thought of living in a single wide again was, in her words, a non-starter. She brought up the cold, the inconvenience, the hardship, as if she was the only one who'd ever experienced it. The rest of the wives looked at her in disbelief. They'd all done it before. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were willing to try. Robyn's refusal wasn't just about her own comfort. It was a hard stop for the entire family. That one decision changed everything. Instead of pooling their resources to start building on Coyote Pass, the family had to scramble to find Robyn another rental. Money that could have gone toward their shared dream was funneled into keeping Robyn comfortable. The timeline for building stretched on, and the frustration grew. Janelle, who had been so hopeful, was left feeling defeated. Christine, already struggling with her place in the family, saw another example of her needs being pushed aside. Even Kody, who usually bent over backward for Robyn, seemed worn down by the constant roadblocks. This wasn't just a logistical setback, it was a blow to the family's unity. Every time Robyn put her foot down, the message was clear. Her discomfort outweighed everyone else's sacrifices. The dream of Coyote Pass, the idea that they could all build something together, started to feel impossible. It's self-sabotage, plain and simple. The family's progress stalled, not because of outside forces, but because one person refused to bend, and the fallout is still being felt in every strained conversation and every missed opportunity. Robyn's story about her kids being treated like outsiders has become one of the most persistent myths in Sister Wives history. She's repeated it so often that even some viewers start to question their own memories. But if you go back and actually watch those early seasons, the truth is right there on screen. When Robyn first joined the family, her children, Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna, were welcomed with open arms. There are scenes of them running around the backyard with the other kids, laughing, playing, and even fighting over candy at family parties. They were right in the middle of the chaos, not sitting on the sidelines. The Browns made a real effort to blend the families. Robyn's kids got gifts at Christmas, they were included in birthday parties, and they took part in the family's traditions. There's even footage of the kids putting on a nativity play together, all dressed up and giggling. If anything, the original Brown children went out of their way to make Robyn's kids feel like part of the group. Sure, there were the usual sibling squabbles, but that's normal in any big family. Being teased or argued with wasn't exclusion. It was a sign they were being treated just like everyone else. But as the years went on, especially during the pandemic, Robyn's narrative started to shift. Suddenly, she was talking about her kids being left out, not being accepted, and feeling like outsiders. The reality, though, was that Robyn's household became more isolated by choice. While the other wives and kids tried to keep up connections, dropping off gifts, visiting from a distance, Robyn kept her family separate, citing safety and rules. That distance grew, and so did the story that her kids were never truly included. For the original Brown children, this revisionist history is more than just frustrating. It's hurtful. They were asked to accept new siblings, share their dad, and adjust to a completely different family dynamic. To have all of that erased, to be painted as the villains in Robyn's story, is a slap in the face. It's not just about who was included or left out. It's about rewriting the family's entire history to fit one person's narrative, and the emotional fallout from that is still echoing through the family today. Kody Brown's approach to rules and religion has always been slippery, but in recent years, it's become almost impossible to ignore. He's quick to invoke faith or family values when it suits him, but just as quick to toss them aside when they get in the way of what he wants. One of the most glaring examples played out during the Hawaii trip, when Kody made a huge deal about not eating pork because of supposed religious reasons. He acted like serving pork was a personal attack, lecturing everyone about kosher diets and spiritual standards. But then, back at home, there he was, happily serving bacon at family meals, not a word about religious restrictions. The double standard couldn't have been more obvious. This isn't just about food. Kody's spiritual claims have shifted with the wind. Early on, he talked about the importance of their faith, the sacrifices they all made to live a plural lifestyle, and the rules that supposedly held the family together. But as the years went by, those rules started to look more like tools for control than genuine beliefs. When it came to big decisions, like moving to Flagstaff, buying new homes, or setting pandemic rules, Kody would suddenly pull out a new spiritual justification, only to drop it when it no longer served his purpose. The pattern is clear. Kody's standards aren't about conviction, they're about convenience. If a rule helps him get his way, it's sacred. If it stands in his way, it's forgotten. This shifting ground has left the family constantly guessing, never sure what the real expectations are. It's exhausting for the wives and kids, who are expected to fall in line with whatever Kody's latest decree happens to be. The damage to family trust is real. When the rules keep changing, it's impossible to feel secure. The wives have learned that their sacrifices might not matter if Kody decides to change course. The kids see the hypocrisy and start to question everything they've been taught. What was supposed to be a family built on shared values has turned into a system where control matters more than connection, and the fallout from that is written all over the Browns' faces. The move to Flagstaff was pitched as a fresh start, but the urgency behind it always felt suspicious. Kody announced the family had to leave Las Vegas in a matter of months, blaming financial pressures and painting it as a decision made for everyone's benefit. But the more you watch, the clearer it becomes that this wasn't about the whole family at all. The timing lined up perfectly with Dayton, Robyn's son, starting college at NAU. Suddenly, Flagstaff was the dream destination, and Kody and Robyn were the first to visit, falling in love with the area almost overnight. Then came the scramble for new homes. While the rest of the wives were still reeling from the news, Robyn's rental was already lined up. When that house went on the market, the pressure ramped up. Robyn played the part of the reluctant buyer, crying on camera about how she didn't want to betray the family by purchasing a home. But behind the scenes, she and Kody were moving fast, making offers and closing on a $925,000 house before anyone else could even catch their breath. The urgency wasn't about keeping the family together. It was about securing Robyn's comfort and stability, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, the other wives were left scrambling. Christine ended up buying her own house, a move that turned out to be smart when things started falling apart. Janelle, who had always been practical and cautious, found herself tangled in legal and financial headaches trying to recover her share of the family's investments. Mary, as usual, was left on the sidelines, her needs barely considered. The older kids, who had finally found stability in Vegas, were uprooted again, forced to start over just as they were building their own lives. Watching all this play out, it's hard not to feel frustrated. The financial maneuvering was blatant. Money that could have gone toward building on Coyote Pass or supporting the whole family was funneled into Robyn's new mansion. The rest of the wives were expected to make do, to sacrifice, to wait. The move to Flagstaff wasn't about unity or a new beginning. It was about making sure Robyn and Kody got exactly what they wanted, no matter who got left behind. The aftermath of Robyn and Kody's choices has left the Brown family more fractured than ever. What started as a promise of unity and shared sacrifice has turned into a story of isolation, resentment, and broken trust. The emotional toll is written all over the faces of the original wives. Christine, once the heart of the family, finally reached her breaking point and walked away, choosing her own happiness over a life spent fighting for scraps of attention. Janelle, always the steady one, found herself pushed to the margins, her practical ideas dismissed in favor of Robyn's comfort. Even Mary, who endured years of feeling like an outsider, has grown more independent, carving out a life that doesn't revolve around Kody's approval. The kids have felt it too. The bonds that once held the siblings together have frayed, replaced by distance and awkwardness. The shared memories of childhood, birthday parties, holidays, and backyard games are now overshadowed by stories of exclusion and hurt. The family gatherings that used to be loud and joyful are now tense, with everyone walking on eggshells, careful not to trigger another round of blame or tears. At the center of it all is the relentless rewriting of history. Robyn's victim narrative, Kody's shifting rules, and the constant need to control the story have cost the family more than just money or property. They've lost the trust that made them strong in the first place. When one person's comfort is always the priority, when the past is twisted to fit a new narrative, everyone else is left questioning their own reality. The real tragedy isn't just the empty lots on Coyote Pass or the $1 million house, it's the loss of connection, the sense that the family's story has been hijacked for someone else's benefit. If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Do you think the Browns can ever rebuild what they've lost? Or is the damage permanent? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more honest recaps and real talk about Sister Wives. I'm Sarah, and this has been TLC Sister Wives Recap. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.